Beethoven.
Frozen.
Aw, man!
Hi, we're Scisavvy and we're going to do chapter-wise breakdowns of IGCSE topics in biology. Let's start. So, chapter 1, characteristics and classifications of living things. Well, organisms, same thing. So, in this topic, there's lots of content, which is probably the biggest factor of it, but it's fairly easy to remember if you know the right way to remember it. So what some people like to do is make mnemonics. In my school personally, we've made Mrs. GREN. I'm pretty sure it's there in the textbook as well. So Mrs. GREN is to classify the characteristics of living things. So this would stand for movement, respiration, sensibility, growth, reproduction, excretion, and nutrition. So this is fairly easy to remember in my opinion, but of course if you have some trouble remembering that, use flashcards. Because flashcards are one of the easiest ways to test yourself and make sure you remember information really quickly. So this is about the characteristics of living organisms. The only way you can memorize all the characteristics of the animals are by using tables or mind maps. So what I did was, when we look at the characteristics of animals, plants, fungus, protists, prokaryotes, what I did was I made a timetable. I made a table. So there's characteristic, animal, there's plant, fungus, ignore my handwriting, there's protist. I'll be posting notes, which are much more neater by the way, don't worry, after we make a big table, which is the only way I remembered most of this stuff. Mostly there's only really small questions from this topic. Of course there's some 4 markers related to what kind of animals have this kind of characteristic, what characteristic are we missing over here. First thing that I subclassed it into is if it's having multicellular or it's a unicellular organism. So for animals, they're multicellular organisms. Plants again, multicellular. Fungus can be multicellular or unicellular. Same goes for protists. And prokaryotes are only unicellular. After that, they feed by is another subclass that you need to look into. Organisms such as animals feed by organic substances, like animals eat other animals or plants, etc. Plants photosynthesize. Fungus are saprophytic. So what a fungus does is, if there's a big tree, the fungus, which is like a mushroom, would sit near the roots of it and steal nutrition from the tree itself. So that's how fungus feed. Then it's like a host cell kind of a mechanism there. With protists, it's photosynthesis or other organisms. And prokaryotes, it can be many ways. There's photosynthesis, there's chemicals, there's carbon, there's organic matter, so many ways. So it depends on the prokaryote that way. Then for the nucleus, because some organisms have a nucleus, some don't. So we're just gonna wrap this up like nucleus, cell wall. This is more into the cell structure. This was on how it feeds, this is on how many cells there are. Now it's the cell structure we're looking into. So cell wall, chloroplast, and cellulose. So we're looking into if these organisms in particular have all of these. So Animals have a nucleus, they don't have cell walls, they don't have chloroplast, and they don't have cellulose. Plants have nucleus, have cell wall, have chloroplast, and have cellulose. Fungus have a nucleus, cell walls are present, they don't have chloroplast, they don't have cellulose. Protists, they have a nucleus, they can or cannot have a cell wall, can or cannot have a chloroplast, and can or cannot have cellulose. And lastly, for prokaryotes, they don't have a nucleus, they have a cell wall, they don't have a chloroplast, and they don't have cellulose. So right now you can see there's barely any big words, and it's really easy and summarized. So it's very quick and easy to understand and memorize, and you don't have to put too much effort or time into it. Because I feel like this is one of the easiest topics. So, like in comparison to genetics, which is done by the end of year 11, I believe, it's not as hard as that. So there's other tinier, more smaller terms that we also have to remember, like metabolism. This is most likely not asked, but it's best to know it for like ASA levels. So what is metabolism? It's chemical reactions that take place in an organism. So chemical reactions in an organism. So metabolism is any reaction that happens in our body, like you're taking in nutrients, that's a part of metabolism. You're using up your energy, that's also a part of metabolism. It's all about the use or like intake or any literal chemical reaction in our body. So another thing is that you have to measure growth, which is kind of related to metabolism. You have to figure out the dry mass of an organism. So this is kind of connected to the food pyramids and the other types of pyramids that we also take in a future lesson, not this one, but just keep that in mind. You should also try to make sure you can remember what a species or a organism or that whole chain of terms are, because they tend to ask that sometimes. So in this lesson we understand what a species is. So a species is a group of organisms that can reproduce to produce fertile offspring. So a group of organisms that can make babies. So after that, what happens is that we have the binomial nomenclature, which is also really important because they often ask about the binomial nomenclature, and it's really easy. It's just a free 1 or 2 marks, which is just genus, italics or bold, and underlined if you're writing it, species, underlined again. And then of course there's the dichotomous key, which is one of the easiest set of marks, though it can be confusing how they write it. You just have to practice this a lot, and it's 3 marks, the most biggest 3 marks on the planet. If you want, I can do a video on how to do a dichotomous key, and then we go to the next points. So apart from the big table we made over here, there are certain points that are related to animals, plants, etc. Like if you look at it, they're gonna ask, oh yeah, what's the difference between an animal and this? And you have to have a difference apart from this, because it's like, what are the physical differences? So when you look at physical differences, there's not much, so you can write it based off what it is. So like for a plant, we can say they have roots and stems and leaves. Then when you look at the next one, which is fungus, you can go, they have spore reproduction, or decomposers, they have hyphae, spongium, mycelium, etc. And then prokaryotes, which is the other last one with other points or features about it, is that they have no mitochondria, they have DNA in circular loops, often free from the cytoplasm, and they have plasmids. So this is why prokaryotes, like bacteria, are oftentimes used for genetically modifying organisms because they have plasmids, and this makes it easier to insert other DNA into this, etc. So you can see how this is kind of connected to the genetics chapters that we will do later on in the topics that we have. Now, when we look into animals as a whole, which is another thing this chapter does, it starts with organisms and then goes to the subclasses of animals. I'm pretty sure this is a bit more of an easier topic for everyone because it's a topic that we've been doing since smaller grades, but if it isn't, it's alright. Why do you think I'm making a video for it? So, there's vertebrates and invertebrates, of course, in animals, and this just means it has a backbone or it doesn't have a backbone. So vertebrates are the ones with a backbone, and invertebrates do not have backbone. Okay. In this subclass, we have the types of vertebrates. So another timetable. Okay, but another table I've done for this is characteristics, and there's body covering, breathing, and reproduce. So I haven't added anything for arthropods here because they have many characteristics again which are deeply looked into afterwards. So we just made little subclasses of other things, but you can of course leave an empty space for arthropods. So there's the amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. There's 6 classes. So body coverings, fish have scales. Amphibians have no scales. This is personally because I was like, okay, what's the difference between an amphibian, a fish, and a reptile? Which is kind of a stupid thing to think about, but it's okay. We all make stupid doubts sometimes, and well, we have to take and cover all those doubts, right? So mammals have hair, birds have feathers, reptiles have scales. Amphibians do not have scales, while fish have scales as well. Breathing, fish use gills. Amphibians, when they're young, they use gills. When they're young, and when they're older, they use lungs. They use lungs. Now, for reptiles, they also use lungs. Birds use lungs, and mammals use lungs. So, other than amphibians and fish, most of them just use lungs. Now, for the reproduction point of view, I haven't written everything over here because it's obvious. Fertile offspring give birth, okay, and then birds, there's hard-shelled eggs, okay. So this thing is there. The shell part is what I would focus on while making this certain subclass because, well, 4 of these are kind of shelled or something related to a shell is mentioned in the book, and sometimes they ask what's the difference between these two. So it's one of the easiest ways to describe it. So like birds have hard shell, reptiles have soft shells, amphibians have no shell but are in water, and fish no shell but in water. So water, no shell. Water and no shell. Same thing goes for 2 things. Then other information that I've added, apart from all of this, which is meant for this kind of a tiny table, because it's in general. After this, we're gonna make another table on arthropods, and that's gonna be more detailed about the arthropods itself. So we ignore how messy this is, okay? Because I've made actual notes, which are much cleaner, and I will be uploading them, okay? So you can take this video as like an audiobook or something, because well, most of the things on the screen are like illegible anyways. So now, other information includes that arthropods have joint legs and exoskeleton. So exoskeleton means their skeletons are visible outside of their body instead of inside their body. Then fish have fins, and amphibians live in water and land. Birds have beaks and 2 limb wings. Mammals have a lot of things, okay? So they have a uterus, they have a placenta, they have mammary glands, they have teeth, types, pinna, which is their ear flap, sweat glands, diaphragm, etc. Then there is characteristics of arthropods. So the types of arthropods include insects, crustaceans, arachnids, myriapods. So these include feet types, so like 3 pairs of feet. Crustaceans have more than 4 pairs, arachnids have 4 pairs, and myriapods have a pair in each segment. So myriapods are like centipedes and stuff like that. Then wings or claws are another subpart that you go for. So insects have 2 pairs of wings, while crustaceans have claws. Body divisions are another thing, and in that there's a head, thorax, abdomen for an insect, okay? And for arachnids, there's also the cephalothorax. I still remember forgetting what a cephalothorax was and then losing a mark in a smaller class test. But like that was the only mark I lost in that test, so I was still a bit happy about my marks. But like it was an easy 1 mark. And myriapods have similar segments. Now, when you look back into antennae, there's 1 pair for insects, 2 pairs for crustaceans. Arachnids don't have antennae. So like if you look at a spider, do they have antennae? No. Okay, and myriapods have 1 pair. Another thing you can look into is the habitat, in which you know what insects are, so you don't really need to give it one. Most are aquatic in crustaceans, and of course arachnids are land-dwelling. So additional point that is also mentioned in the textbook is that insects have wings that are vestigial, which means they're kind of useless, just there for clothes, you know. And then we look into plants. Okay, so there's 2 things that the textbook mentions about plants, which is the ferns, flowering plants descriptions versus the Dicoteleydon and Monocoteldyon descriptions. Now, all of these are very important because I remember my classmates would just forget about this and then see a question on flower parts. What is this kind of a flower? Is it a Dicoteleydon or a Monocoteldyon? And they gave the flower's image, and they didn't know what it was because they didn't really remember that if you're having a Dicoteleydon, you have 4 to 5 parts. If you're having a Monocoteldyon, we have 3 parts. So that's something you have to take care of and remember. So we can write this down, of course. So if you look at ferns and flowering plants, we can see that ferns have no flowers, of course. They reproduce through spores and they have frond leaves. The flowering plants reproduce via flowers and leaves, and they have normal leaves, no frond leaves, etc. Frond leaves is referred to those leaves which have like really parted and they look like this, sort of. And just normal leaves, of course, everyone knows the leaf. After this, you can see Dicoteleydon and Monocoteldyon. So there's 2 cotyledons here, there's 1 cotyledon here, so it's like 2 parts in a seed. And this is just 1 little part in a seed. And another thing is there's the main root plus the side roots. So it'll be like a main root downwards, and there's tiny little roots going out like that. It's like a carrot if you think about it. It grows directly from the stem, which means if this is a flower, yeah, kindly. This is how the root grows. So they'll most likely ask you this kind of a classification, but if you're lucky they won't. And it's really easy, just that you have to remember. And then when you talk about the veins, this one, Dicoteleydon, have a network of veins, so it's more of like tangled, you know. It's really tangled. The venation is very tangled. Meanwhile, in a Monocoteldyon, they're really parallel, straight, refined, brushed out here. And when you look at the flower parts, in a Dicoteleydon, it's in multiples of 4 or 5. But here, it's in multiples of 3. So that's 3 petals, or 6 petals, etc. Another thing to look into is vascular bundle arrangements. So when you look into that, in a Dicoteleydon, the vascular bundles are arranged in rings. So if this is a stem, there's rings. Okay? But in a Monocoteldyon, they are arranged randomly. So like it could be anywhere, you know, anywhere within the stem, nobody cares. So yeah. Now we're gonna look into the last thing, which is the tiniest section in this entire chapter at the very end. Viruses. About viruses, there are non-living because they don't reproduce, they don't breathe, they don't eat. What they do is that they get into a living cell and then they use that living cell to duplicate themselves. So it's like a copy-paste in this scenario. After they duplicate themselves, the host cell dies and they're just, yay, we take over the world. What my friends liked to say when we were learning this was that viruses are like zombies. So they're the undead, the living undead, you know? Because they're not living, but they do replicate themselves by like eating other people and like growing, you know? So it's like a zombie thriller. Now another thing you might see in it is this diagram. Also, do not draw your diagrams like this, I am telling you, because first of all, there are so many lines like this that are gonna get your marks cut off. And what you should do if you're actually drawing a large diagram for them is that you should make sure it's proper. Even this is a mistake because I've made it like too dark. And like if your image has a certain number of circles, make sure you have that many number of circles or you're getting your marks cut off, I'm telling you. Okay? Now, in this way you look at, this has a protein coat and this is RNA. Even though they have given an introduction to viruses in this chapter, I feel like they're doing it just for ASA levels because in the past papers I've done, which I've done a lot of actually, I have not found a single mention of viruses. I mean, I've seen subtle ones like a question on what this does or something, but I haven't done it. I haven't seen anything, but I haven't seen anything specifically about the diagram or the structure of a virus. But of course, future papers might have it, remember it, but I just speaking from the patterns I've been seeing. Then again, biology, the thing is, you have to memorize all the small terms or you're not going to get marks, because the terms are what determines if your answer has marks. And there's specific keywords that you definitely need to have or you're not going to get marks. So always remember keywords and terms. The thing is, biology, the content of a paper is really unpredictable considering how they can range papers based off any minute topic. So you gotta be prepared. And just comment what you guys want to see next. I will be posting these notes up in the link in the bio. And see you guys next time.